The Isiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored, and thank you for joining us tonight. We're talking about what can be a nightmare for property owners, squatters. High home prices in Sydney, Australia have led to an underground organized squatters movement. According to reports, access to social housing is shrinking, so some people just end up setting up shop in vacant homes. Back here in the United States, there's also the question of how AirBNB owners are supposed to approach their own squatting situation. There are certain laws that could and would protect squatters from being kicked out immediately. Let's talk about it. Joining me now here on The Factor Uncensored, attorney Simone Redwine, real estate expert Miss Guillory, and DJ Sneak, who has had his own bout with a squatter that we've chronicled here on The Factor. So take us back a few months when you had that squatter. You had the traditional squatter in your home, right?
Yeah, so the person that I had in the home was refusing to leave, and even after the eviction, they still returned, and they were telling me that I had to restart the process. So if you board it up and they come back in, you have to restart the process.
And it cost you money and time with your property.
Money, time, they damaged the whole property.
And when you say damage, maliciously.
Yep, spray painted the walls, put holes in the walls. Literally, she was putting toilet paper in the sink. You know, she was pooping in the tub. All sorts of things. It was horrible.
It was disgusting. I remember seeing that video, and you're looking at some of that video, and that's how she lived and refused to leave. And of course, in the beginning, she had rights, and law enforcement would not take her out of the property. And it was just a nightmare. So, Simone, for those who are wondering exactly what rights they have when a squatter enters their home.
Right. So the first thing I would say is do not call them a squatter when you call the police, because the police will say, oh, it's a civil situation.
Right.
In other words, get somebody else to do it, right? You have to call them, I've been burglarized. I am being robbed. I have just caught a burglar in my home, and I need you to come here immediately. You have to use words like burglary, like trespassing, because those are crimes. And that's going to give you more protection and a more immediate response. Because anything less than that, they're going to lean towards civil. And you're going to end up in that situation.
Now, Mish, when it comes to dealing with individuals who squat on a property, when it comes to Airbnb, is that an issue now? Because we've seen some videos where a woman was following this woman through her apartment, and she's like, she won't leave.
It is a massive problem for Airbnb, people in foreclosure. It doesn't matter. This is an equal opportunity issue. If the house is empty, someone is going to take that opportunity to move in and abuse the hell out of the property. So yes, it's something to be looking out for, but there's stuff you can do to try to avoid it. And I'm not slighting my boy here, you know, but there are some things that people can learn to do because of the lessons we had to learn watching our friend here.
When it comes to squatters and Airbnb, what I have seen in the past is people will list their properties, and this is for all of you, on Airbnb, but then they will go behind their back and switch the agreement, and it'll be money straight to them, and they don't have the protections of Airbnb anymore.
That's true, but also you have to be very clear on how long you're letting them rent. I have an Airbnb as well. I don't let them stay for more than 30 days, or 29 days to be specific. And that's because—
Why 29?
Because at the 30th day, they become a tenant, and if they don't want to leave on that 30th day, you have to start the eviction process. Anything less than that, they don't live there, they're not a resident, they're not a tenant.
And so, if you stick to your agreement under Airbnb, are there protections there for you from them?
Yes. One is Airbnb will compensate you if you have to go through something such as filing a suit to get them out. Airbnb also has their credit card on file. Airbnb will charge it. If they have a prepaid card or so forth, you have to deal with that separately. But Airbnb will also back you up and reimburse you if you have to file a suit to get this person evicted.
And Mish, when you have someone who has, say, a house that's in foreclosure by the bank, and they move in, and then you buy that house, and I've had that situation. We did a report on a woman who bought a house from a bank.
You bought a problem.
Yeah, repo, and then there was a squatter there, and they couldn't get him out.
Yeah, you're buying a problem, and part of what goes—
And really quick, should the bank disclose that to you? Or would they know?
The bank might not know, and that's part of the problem. The bank may not be aware. That bank could be out of state. You know what I'm saying? So the loan could have been sold to another entity, is nowhere near the property. They don't send people to check on the property, so there's no way of knowing someone's in there. Worse than that, squatters hide. They don't reside. They hide, and that's the difference. That's what makes them a squatter. Is you're supposed to be obviously living there if you're truly a tenant, but you're a squatter, so you're hiding. So it would make it harder for a landlord or a bank to know someone's in my spot.
And Sneak, how long did it take for you to get your house back?
Took me 9 months because of COVID.
9 months.
Yeah, 9 months.
That's damn near a year.
And then if you have a drop of rain, even if it doesn't rain, it looks cloudy, they'll reschedule you until it's sunny and clear.
And
to do the eviction?
To get them out?
To do the eviction, yes. And you're responsible for boarding up the whole house and locking the doors. If they get back in and they claim that they're living there, you have to start the process all over.
That is just a nightmare.
It's easier to steal a house than a car.
Right.
Did you ever use criminal language, though? Did you ever call the police and say, hey, I'm being burglarized, there's a burglar here,
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said. Once you tell them they're squatting,
the first time,
they take it as a civil battery. That's exactly what they told me. If anything, they told me I would get in trouble if I try to
illegally
get them
evicted.
out.
Yeah. So don't ever use that S word. Don't use that S word.
Incredible, incredible. And we've heard that now there are scam artists out there who know they can take advantage of the system, especially with AirBNB.
Absolutely. So if you can find out, I'm the queen of background checks. So if you can find that person's name, then you want to go and find their social media. Because a lot of times, especially after they felt like they've won, they'll go on social media and brag and tout. Let me tell you, you get that and you go into your local eviction court, that's going to set a judge on fire. And you might be able to expedite that process because now they're blatantly, basically spitting in the face of the court.
We want to thank you guys for joining us. And take note, people, because it could happen to you. You just don't expect it. But be careful on who you rent your property to, and no longer than 29 days.
That's right, 29 days. You got it.